Hello everyone. Today we're going to talk about friction and the types of friction. So, our objective is understand that friction can act between solid surface and air and water. At first, let's talk about friction. What is friction? What's the friction? You have 30 seconds to think about this question and write the answer in your notebook. Okay. Friction is all around us. It is a force which happens when two objects make contact or touch. So friction occurs between two surfaces that slide against each other, like when you rub your hands together. Friction is is the force that acts against you when you try to move something heavy. If you want to push a box, for example, in the right direction, the friction acts in the opposite direction. Okay. And as we know, the rougher the surface, the stronger the friction. The rough surface produce more friction, and the smooth surface produce less friction. And also friction produces heat, like when you rub your hands together, this will produce heat. So friction occurs between two surfaces that slide against each other. And the friction, it is an important force that helps objects and living things to move. Okay. Um, and also, as we know, friction happens when two objects or surfaces rub together, okay, and it slows an object down. Okay, imagine trying to skateboard across a carpet. It would be more difficult than trying to skateboard across a tiled floor because there would be more friction in carpet. Okay, as we said, if you try to push uh, a box or anything in this direction, the friction acts on the opposite direction to stop things down or to slow things down or to stop things. Okay. And also look here, the rough surface or rough surfaces produce more friction. Rough surfaces produce more friction, and the smooth surface produce a less friction. Okay. Using and reducing friction. Friction is useful when it helps us grip the floor with our shoes and stop car tires skidding. As we said, friction can be useful or unuseful. Like when we walk on street or on floor, we need a friction to stop. If there is no friction, we can't stop. Okay. However, for people like ice skaters, it is a good thing that ice causes very little friction because they need to slide. Okay, a friction can be reduced by using methods like lubrication. For example, when your door hangs will probably be lubricated by oil to reduce the wear and tear caused by friction. We said we can reduce the friction by making the surfaces more smoother. So if we add oil or soap or even water, this will make the surface more smooth. Okay. I have a video. Let's see it together.
What is friction? Friction is the reason we are not constantly slipping and sliding on floors, roads, and everywhere. Friction is the force that is created when two surfaces move or try to move across each other. The amount of friction produced during this process depends on the texture of both the surfaces and the amount of contact force that is pushing the two surfaces together. The force acts in the opposite direction to the way an object wants to slide. When you want to stop your bicycle, you press the brake and your bicycle slows down because of the friction created between the brakes and the wheels. Different solid objects experience different amount of frictions. An eraser on a glass-top table will experience more friction than a coin, which will experience more friction than an ice cube on the same table. Why do you slip and fall when the floor has just been mopped? This is because liquid creates a barrier between the ground and your shoes and makes the friction a lot less. It is because of less friction that you hear of many accidents during monsoons. Even though the friction of the brakes is still there, the brakes may be wet and the wheels are not in as much contact with the ground because of the water. Project. Slide a coin across a marble.
Okay. As we said, the friction acts between two surfaces that contact. We have two types or another two types of friction. The first one called air resistance. Air resistance is a type of friction that act between solid and the air. So the definition of air resistance is a friction between the air and an object. So the friction between the air and an object called air resistance. Okay, the second type is water resistance. Water resistance is a type of friction. Water resistance makes it more difficult to move through the air. Water resistance friction is a type of friction between water and an object. Like when you stand in water and you want to move, maybe you find this very difficult because there is a friction between your body and the water. Okay, at the end of the lesson, we talked about friction, and we said friction is a force that act between two objects make contact. Then we talked about types of friction. We said there are two types of friction: water resistance and air resistance. And the water resistance mean a friction between water and an object, and air resistance mean a friction between air and an object. Your homework is write the definition of water resistance and air resistance, and question 2, complete the sentence: the space, the surface, the stronger the friction. Okay, thank you.